For those of you who are not familiar with a Toastmasters meeting, there are three basic components: speaking, evaluating, and table topics. The first-time speaker to any club is asked to give an icebreaker speech. This is an opportunity for the group to get to know the member and for the newbie to talk a little bit about themselves. My brother Charlie Plumb graduated from the United States Naval Academy, learned to fly jets, went to Vietnam aboard the U.S. aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk. Charlie was 5 days from coming home when he was shot down by a surface-to-air missile and spent the next 6 years in North Vietnam in a communist prison camp. Now, these POWs had no books, no pens, no paper, or anything to occupy their time. One of the prisoners, however, had been a Toastmaster, and thus an unofficial Toastmasters Club was started at the Hanoi Hilton in North Vietnam. Their meetings followed the exact same format as our Toastmasters Club, complete with awe counter, and for you guests, that's the person that counts the awes, wordmaster grammarian, and icebreaker speeches. This Toastmasters Club was responsible for the survival of numerous prisoners of war, and in at least one case, it launched a career. Charlie Plumb has made over 4,000 professional speeches, and it all started in a prison cell in North Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the icebreaker first given to his fellow prisoners of war, please join me in welcoming former POW and professional speaker Charlie Plumb.
The date, 19 May 1967. The Vietnam War is raging. The place, heaven, where a conversation is going on between St. Peter and God. They're trying to determine the eventual outcome of several individuals, several mortals on earth. The conversation starts with God and his great gavel, and he pounds it on the oak desk and he says, "Next case." St. Peter, at the podium, looks at the ledger and says, "Case 142,732,492, sir." It's the case of a young man, J. Charles Plumb, Lieutenant, Junior Grade, United States Navy. God says, "Tell me about this young man." "Well," says St. Peter, "he grew up in a tiny town in Kansas, Lecompton, Kansas, town of some 325 fine souls, and a couple of Presbyterians." He says, "I was a Boy Scout." God says, yes, and what's the dark side of this young lad?" "Well, he did tease his brother. A lot." He went to high school at Shawnee Mission North High School. He threw the newspaper, continued with his Boy Scout career. At age 17, he was throwing newspapers, the Kansas City Star. The dark side of that, says St. Peter, is, well, Sunday mornings with those big heavy papers, and he was in the back of the van, and he'd try to pick out the big real estate signs. Because early in the morning, about 4:30 in the morning, if he could get that heavy newspaper into the middle of that sign, it made a gong sound that wake up the whole neighborhood. The boy went to the Naval Academy at age 17, graduated, married his high school sweetheart, another graduate of Shawnee Mission North. From there, he went to flight training in San Diego, California, where he helped start the Top Gun school. And then on the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk, says St. Peter, and that's where the decision needs to be made. God, we need to make this in a hurry, as a matter of fact, because he's on his 75th combat mission. At this very moment, he's high over the capital city of Hanoi. His airplane has just been hit by a surface-to-air missile, and it has exploded to some 12,000 pounds of jet fuel on board that airplane. And the bird is now a screaming fireball headed for the earth. Plumb has tried the control stick, and it's frozen. The only thing he has left is a manual rudder, and he hits the rudder as hard as he can, and the airplane seems to have rolled upright. God says, what happens now? St. Peter says, well, he is successfully ejected, and in this very moment, he's plummeting through the air, well over enemy territory. And now that's for you to decide. God scratches his beard and he says, now, I seem to remember this young lad. Isn't this the fellow that we helped out just a few months ago? St. Peter said, yes, you're right, sir. In fact, he was a very good fighter pilot. In fact, made 41 successful landings on the aircraft carrier without missing. He said, now the 42nd time, you might remember it was a dark night with rain and fog and mist, and the aircraft carrier was moving all over the place, and so the 42nd time he missed the boat. And he was struggling out there over the water. God says, yes, I remember. I sent a couple of angels that night, didn't I? St. Peter said, yes, you did, and now he needs some again. God looks at the notes that he's taken, and he wipes his furrowed brow, and he looks at St. Peter, and he says, all right, St. Peter, pop the chute. Thank you.